The Liberals are goofballs. We know this. They are literal goofballs. They can easily save Canada. They can easily make Canada cheaper. They can easily be better at trade negotiations, specifically with America. They can easily start to crack down on crime, but they haven't. In fact, we've had 10 years of those false promises where I think now I'm convinced that Justin Trudeau knew he was going to resign and did his absolute best to tank Canada, make Canada as crime-ridden, as vulnerable, as disgusting as he possibly could, so that whoever his replacement was, which is now Mark Carney, would have literally one of the easiest jobs. Like anything Mark Carney does, unless it's following Justin Trudeau's blueprint, is a bit of a step in the right direction. But this is where it gets very weird. The Conservatives have been saying jail, not bail for years. You can even type that in Google and it'll pop out probably when they started saying it. That's actually why the Liberals criticize the Conservatives of being so slogan ridden, is because they come out with slogans like jail, not bail. And now the Liberals are trying to take credit for this new bill that they're putting forward for bail reform. And we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because, well, yeah, this is good, but hey, buddy, like, screw you, man. We've been trying to say this for years, and you've been saying, no, our system is perfect. And now you're copying the system that was said a few years ago by the Conservatives. Kind of weird. So we're taking a look at a big, tall, wet noodle goofball, Sean Fraser, who is doing a one-on-one sit-down with CTV to talk about bail reform and how it's certainly 100% not because of political reasons, but it's for the betterment of the country. Oh my goodness. I can't believe this is real life, but this is the current state of Canada. So all I ask in return is for you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, let's laugh at this interview together.
What the bill will do if it passes and becomes law. Primarily, it would bring in a reverse onus requirement for major crimes. That means an accused would have to prove why they should get bail instead of the Crown proving why they should not. It would also mean consecutive sentences for violent and repeat offenders, but notably not consecutive life sentences, as the Supreme Court previously deemed that unconstitutional. It would also restrict conditional sentences if the bill passes into law. Sean Fraser is the Justice Minister and Attorney General.
Yeah.
Hi, Minister. Welcome back to studio. Good to see you. Thank you for making the time.
It's good to be here with you.
Is this legislation a concession that your government got it wrong for the better part of a decade?
No, this is a response to the very real concerns that we've heard directly from Canadians. We hear in different parts of Canada different concerns, but overwhelmingly, there's enormous consistency with Canadians writ large, with law enforcement, with provincial governments, that they wanted to see changes to bail laws and stronger sentences for serious crimes. So this is a response to the lived experience of Canadians that they've shared with us in advance of the last federal election and since, to make sure that our laws are up to the standard Canadians expect when it comes to protecting their families.
But the laws that were in place prior to the introduction of this legislation, should it pass, were laws that the Liberals specifically put on the book. So we'll start, for example, in 2019 with C-75, which introduced the principle of restraint, codified the principle of restraint, led to a lot of backlash from law enforcement, federal opposition, as well as premiers who are asking for bail reform. At that time, your government introduced bail reform in 2023. Clearly, it didn't go far enough, or we wouldn't be here today. Why should Canadians trust you to fix a problem that you had a hand in creating?
So we will always want to iterate in response to the concerns that we hear from Canadians. There are certain elements of the laws that you've referenced that remain in effect today that actually do good things, making it harder for people charged with intimate partner violence to be released on bail, for example. But we do need to go further, and we need to acknowledge where the laws that we've put in place under the previous government need to be changed. We can't dig in and insist forever and a day that we've always been right. When we hear from Canadians and from law enforcement and from provincial governments who run the bail system that we need changes, we should take those concerns seriously. What I'm confident in, though, is that particularly with the validation we've seen of this bill from our law enforcement partners and from provincial governments, is that we've hit the mark. The new laws that we're introducing today are going to improve public safety when it comes both to bail and when it comes to sentencing for serious crimes that have been committed across the country.
So these new laws that they're trying to legislate is the exact carbon copy or pretty similar to what the Conservatives have been touting for years. And yet the Liberals have been saying, no, go away, shoo. We don't want that. And then here they are. So instead of doing the right thing and saying, you know what, the Conservatives tried to tell us about this, and we're sorry that it's taken so long, but putting party politics aside for the betterment of Canada, we're actually going to work together with them on this. Like, they have a real opportunity to spin this and actually have brownie points with conservative voters. The Liberals could actually poach some conservative voters if they just gave credit to conservatives, because conservatives would be saying, just like we are now, hey, you stole these ideas. But if the Liberals put their ego aside and said, you know what? These guys had a great idea. The loyal opposition is doing what they're supposed to be doing, being loyal to Canada. We are now the Liberals putting party politics aside, and we're going to take them up on these ideas, and we're going to actually work together as you know, Canada should be. No party politics, and we're going to implement this idea. Thank you, Conservatives. Conservatives would actually be in shock and awe. I would be speechless if they actually thanked the original ideas that came from the Conservatives and said, you know, and gave them credit. Like, I wouldn't say I would vote for them, but if they were able to humbly say that, my goodness, they would have gotten so many more brownie points. And the fact that they can't even do that just shows how egotistical and how disgusting the Liberals truly are. They want full credit for it. It's weird, man. It's super weird.
Is there a substantive reason beyond just pressure from political actors for you to introduce this legislation, or is it inherently political? Are you doing this because, for example, the issue of crime and your perceived weakness on it cost your party a majority, or are you doing it because you think it will actually fix a problem?
So we are orienting the entire initiative behind what's going to help keep communities safe. We have heard very directly from people, less about their political concerns and they want us to match a provincial government or another party. We've heard that they're scared. People are afraid in certain communities, and they want the law to protect them. Now, we think this is going to make a meaningful difference when it comes to improving public safety, but we also know that the job isn't done. We're going to have to work with law enforcement and with provincial partners, again, who run the system, to ensure that the changes we make have the resources behind them to actually be implemented.
See, the Liberals are so far behind in the times. They think that you and I are stupid. We have access to social media. When something is said in the world, when something happens, it's not only cataloged forever, but the entire world can instantly see it. And it's very, very rare that it gets fully scrubbed, because people can save copies to their phones or devices, re-upload them and modify them so that they can get past, you know, scrubbing kind of AI. Okay. The Conservatives have been saying this for years. And this is so disgusting that the Liberals are now trying to take credit for it. And I wish Vashi would just say, but what you are putting forward is literally what the Conservatives have been saying for years. So why aren't you giving them credit? The fact that the own CTV, that the interviewer is not saying that, tells me that these people think that we live in the day and age of newspapers and no social media. This may have worked way back in the day before we all had access to instant communication with the entire world. But that's not the case anymore. And we know that this has been taken from the Conservatives. That's fine. Take the freaking ideas. Even Pierre Poilievre has said, I'm not mad about taking the ideas. Take the ideas if it betters the country. Because at the end of the day, I, as a private citizen, do not care which party enacts the policies that are going to better my life, the life of my kids and my family, and your life. If the Liberals literally enacted every single thing that the Conservatives have been wanting to do, if they just literally look at their costed platform from Pierre's costed platform from the election and said, you know what, we're going to do TFSA increase, we're going to do all of these things and those things, every single thing that Pierre Poilievre wanted to do, if the Liberals did it right now, I wouldn't be saying, well, it's not, you know, like you can't be doing that. Like, whatever, as long as it betters the country, it doesn't really matter. But the disgusting thing here is that it's the gaslighting and the fact that, like, I know that they're full of shit. They know that I know that they're full of shit, but they're pretending that I don't know that they know that I know that they're full of shit. Like, it's a weird psychological trick. It's gaslighting, which is, I think once upon a time it was actually illegal. It was a crime to gaslight people in Canada. I don't know if it still is, but it's so bizarre that they do this.
But we also know that the conversation about public safety is broader than bail and sentencing. Yes, we need tougher laws, not just on bail and sentencing, on intimate partner violence, protecting kids online, combating hate, but we also need to make the investments on the front line with law enforcement to help protect communities and prevent crime, and to make the upstream investments in the long term around affordable housing and mental health to prevent crime for the long term.
So on the first part of when you're talking about additional resources, I think what really struck me is when I think back to the introduction of C-75, the stated purpose at the time was to do two things: address overcapacity in the jails, in the correctional system, and to address overrepresentation of minorities in the justice system. On the first, when you talk about additional resources, I listened to your press conference today. You firmly put the ball in the province's court. You said, hey guys, and I'm paraphrasing, but hey guys, you asked for this. You're going to have to make sure that it does what it's intended to do and deal with overcapacity. There are major overcapacity issues. I believe it's 100, some correctional facilities in Ontario are operating at 150% capacity. Are you going to, in this budget, put additional resources to addressing that? Because what you're introducing today will certainly compound that problem.
So what we introduced today was a response not only to the government of Ontario, but I should take this opportunity to thank them, and in particular my counterpart, Attorney General Doug Downey, for his collaboration in developing some of these reforms. But one of the things that we learned through our extensive engagement with provincial partners is that the challenges in one province don't necessarily reflect the same challenges in another, where it may be detention facilities in certain provinces, it could be Crown prosecutors, community policing may be a bottleneck in others. There are different systemic challenges that appear in different parts of the system in different regions of the country. The measures that we're putting in place today had virtually unanimous support amongst provincial governments, and given that they are responsible for administering the system and they wanted these changes, we certainly expect that they're going to match these changes with necessary resources. Now, we're going to remain at the table to have conversations about what the appropriate role for the federal government is, particularly in areas of federal jurisdiction, but this is a conversation where I'm not interested in picking a fight or pointing fingers. I've had a very positive experience working together with provinces who I think get it, who I think want to solve this problem, and we want to be a meaningful partner who does our job, and we expect that they're going to do theirs as well.
But what is your job? Because my question is about what happens if the problem you thought C-75 was going to fix ends up getting a lot worse by taking away some of what was put in place. And by that I mean that the justice system becomes even more delayed and more fraught with additional cases that can't be handled in a timely manner, and that the correctional facilities become even more at higher levels of overcapacity. I take your point that it's not in every province, but there are some pretty staggering statistics about capacity in nearly every single province. So what is your role? Are you prepared to put more resources if necessary?
So in terms of our role, we certainly own the text of the criminal code. And when we're delivering on the measures that Canadians are asking for, I can't in good faith say that because there are challenges with capacity and detention, that we should do something less than put forward the laws that we think will promote public safety. We have to start with...
that's basically what you did in the last government.
This is a new government, and there is a different approach that's being taken. I am...
Same party, to be fair.
Yeah, certainly, we are the Liberal Party of Canada. You're right about that, but I can tell you the focus that I'm taking to this particular initiative is designed to ensure that we have a legal framework in place that will promote public safety. To the extent that there are downstream implications within the system, we want to work with provinces. That may include, I got a question at the press conference today about reviewing the judicial complement that certain provinces are facing based on the caseload in their courts. When it comes to the operation of the provincial court system, of the bail system, where disproportionately the responsibilities fall to the provinces, we do anticipate that they're going to need to inject resources into the system.
So will you provide them? That's my question.
Look, I am not broadcasting budget decisions that have not been made public, but my goal here is to figure out if there is a mess in my own backyard, I want to clean that up first. We've taken a major step in the right direction with the legislation that we've tabled today. To the extent there are other areas that fall within federal jurisdiction, whether that's federal RCMP, border officials, whether that's the judges whose costs falls to the federal government, there are spaces where we need to continue to do our job. But my sense is working with provinces, they know what their responsibilities are and they want to take action as well.
Oh my goodness, this guy in this party, they're just full of crap. This is so annoying. I'm just so annoyed with the Liberals. I don't care if it's the freaking Green Party that somehow becomes in power and Elizabeth May is the prime minister and she starts literally copying the entire conservative platform and is putting forward conservative, style bills for the betterment of the country. I don't care. As a private citizen, my allegiance is to my family and wanting a better quality of life, and party politics seems to have consumed people. People get so caught up in like, it has to be the right that puts forward these things. Like if the left puts forward things that the right suggested, then really, what the hell do we even care? We just want the things to actually be implemented to better our lives. But it's weird when they do this stuff and they can't say, well, you know what? We're doing Canada first. We've decided to start working together with everybody. And the Conservatives are even working together with us. Like, you want to talk about healing the country and healing Canada and bringing people together instead of causing division? Just say that, hey, you know what? We're all kind of putting our swords down and our shields down, and we're all actually working together, and we're doing this for the people of Canada. This is incredible. I hope that we can continue to do this for an extended period of time. That would literally win the country over. And people would be like, oh, well, I don't even know what to be angry about because everyone's kind of working together. But that's not the case. It's not the case. And I don't know if I'm like delusional and expecting something like that could ever happen. But if they're literally about this Canada first stuff, then it should happen sooner than later. At least that's my opinion. I could be way freaking out in left field. Who knows? But I'd love to know your guys' opinion down below in the comments. And I'll do my best to read through every single one so I can actually get a bit of a better understanding of how other people feel about this. That is in the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, it'd be super awesome for you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video out, comment your thoughts down below, and I'll see you in another one. Bye for now.